Good morning, Bitcoins. We're live once more from the Baltic Honeybadger Conference in Riga, Latvia. We're joined by Giorgio, and we're going to do a special topic conversation. We're going to talk about the UFC, Bitcoin, fighting, and how we can bring them all together. Giorgio, yesterday we talked about your company, and we touched just a little bit on UFC and fighting. And what ideas do you have to kind of bring crypto into the fighting space?
Well, where it stands is I would say that due to the fact that funding has always been a problem for athletes in their early stages of their careers, what could be done is some form of a crowdfunding mechanism through people in the space that would support athletes and help them grow and transition into world-class athletes.
Certainly, it is a big difference whether or not you have the advanced training equipment and so on and so forth. I don't have a very big athletic background, but I do remember Rocky IV. And in Rocky IV, Rocky was running out in the snow and he was fighting with a carcass of a deer or something. And meanwhile, the Russian had all these computers and treadmills and science and, of course, steroids. But, he was doing all of those things. And he looked like he had a really good training plan. And I think what you're saying is if all these kids had that same kind of training plan, they could be even better athletes than they would if they just ran in the snow, right?
For sure. And then if we look into Rocky V, Rocky ran out of money, of course. So at that point in his career, if we did a Rocky ICO, for instance, we could have had some serious backing for Rocky and get him back into his nice big mansion that he was living in Rocky IV.
And he had a robot and a pool. It was amazing. Max, have you seen the Rocky films?
Oh yeah, absolutely, and I'm really looking forward to the ICO to get a deer for these kids so that they can start punching the deer for a punching bag. I do think that will be quite valuable. Yes.
You want to hit it because it feels like meat, right? It has the right kind of tendencies to hit, yeah.
And that, what was it, Burning Heart, was it? The Rocky song when he was driving his Lambo? I mean, he lost his Lambo, right? He had to give it away in Rocky V. So, with that crowdfunding mechanism that was created through the ICO space and something that has helped drive the crypto ecosystem forward, it would have been very useful.
And we talk often how crypto is here to kind of help you achieve your dreams. And if your dream is to become a great athlete, you could try a crowdfunding ICO. You could also try something like Tallycoin at tallyco.in, where you just bring your own Bitcoin address and you state your goal. Maybe your goal is $1,000 to buy a treadmill or $100 to buy a new tracksuit or to pay a trainer or something. You can tell the people about your goal, and then you can raise money independently. You don't have to pay Kickstarter or Indiegogo or any of these gatekeepers to pay the fees. You can raise the money yourself in crypto.
Yes, absolutely. And that's the beautiful thing with Bitcoin, right? It is you only need to have the address. And the method of how you get this address doesn't matter. It can be in a QR code, can be an NFC chip. So, of course, there would be the possibility of putting a QR code on the butt of the athletes. And while they are punching each other, you could scan their asses.
Make sure you pause. Because you won't be able to scan while they're moving around.
But okay, so maybe how could you gamify that a little bit? Could you maybe have a little game where you say, okay, these are the two QR codes, the two addresses for these fighters, and then you have kind of maybe sort of like a betting system or something, yeah.
That would be great. Yeah, I agree.
Or maybe you can even have one of the judges' votes goes to the audience, and you vote with your money as to who you think wins the fight. And now the audience is involved, and of course the fighters get to keep the money as well. So sometimes maybe you win the fight judge but lose the other judges and end up with some money. So there's a way to win by losing, right?
I like it. It's adding more of a gamification angle to what we're discussing, but at the same time, if that fight is happening, let's say it's a US versus Russia fight, and it's happening in Russia, then I'm assuming even if the Russian guy's losing, the Russian crowd will still vote for their homegrown athlete. So it could cause some problems.
And more donations for everybody, though. It's a great chance to raise money because the U.S. guys would also want the U.S. people to support them, and it just becomes a whole political thing trying to raise more money for these athletes. Because, like you say, you're not always the Michael Jordan, you're not always the best athlete. You're trying to get your way up there, but if you're not Michael Jordan, you're not going to get the right training and the right kind of equipment and gear. And maybe we can help some of these kids get much further than they could have without the Bitcoin, without even an ICO or an altcoin or whatever the future brings.
Yes, and a big part of these types of donations are, well, Patreons, right? Not just a website, but actually someone who looks after the younger generation and the upcoming generation. So especially in the UFC, where do you see this patronship?
Well, I didn't actually fully define the question. What was the exact question that you were asking there?
So are there, let's say, the old dogs, right? The fighters who have been in the fight for a long time, maybe already retired and moving on to other projects. How are they trying to support the younger generation so that they have the opportunity of growing themselves?
Yeah. So how would the older athletes then come? And I think one of the things that we do as we retire is definitely help go get in the gym and help the young guns and do some technical work with them and help them grow as athletes mentally and physically and technically. But at the same time, from the not only the experience but the fans that you have, then you can drive them towards being part of the network of the younger athletes too. I would also think of finding ways where, like both of you have suggested, where we can donate to the athletes through the wallet with the tallycode.in. I think that's great because that becomes then there's no one in the middle there. It's just the athlete engaging. I would again find ways to layer on top of that some way of marketing that athlete as well, alongside the crowdfunding mechanism. But it's a very personal thing too. It's just the athlete directly interacting with whoever wants to give them that money. But the problems I find with that is, not everyone understands how to have a Bitcoin wallet and then transfer Bitcoin. So that could be a possible sticking point. I think some ICOs, there was an ICO called Sportico, which I did they asked me to do an interview and discuss certain things. There wasn't a problem. It was just like an example would be a kid who wants to be a great tennis player, but his parents are from a not so affluent or background as such. So that child then wouldn't be able to get the funding to go. And it could cost, I think it's in the millions to get a kid from the age of 4 or 5 play tennis to become a world-class player. Not every family can afford to do that for a child. So then if you had an extremely talented individual that could, would be world champion or would be one of the best athletes on the planet, or tennis players or golf players, they would never have the option of even considering getting there. Now we're kind of with this blockchain ecosystem and the crowdfunding mechanisms, they could be given the same opportunity that others can only have.
And again, for Bitcoin, one of the big opportunities we're talking about here is eliminating the middleman, allowing you to donate directly to these athletes through the Bitcoin, through an ICO or whatever, doesn't make you pay, whereas YouTube takes 30%, Twitter takes a cut, Google takes a cut, everyone takes a cut of the money, and people often complain about the Red Cross or something that they're donating, and it's not quite going to the charity that they want. With this new system, with the way that Bitcoin and digital money works, you can actually donate directly to the person. You can know that it's helping them. Of course, with Twitter and Instagram and such, they can diagram it for you. They can show you the new punching bag in action or whatever they've purchased with the money and how often they're using it. And you can get that feeling of satisfaction and support, kind of like the old program on TV where you would sponsor a kid in Africa for 2 cents a day or whatever. But now you're sponsoring a young boxer, and maybe if they become a great boxer one day, you'll feel some part of that success as well because you've been supporting them financially for years. And even at $5 a month or something, if 2,000 of you did it, the athlete's going to have plenty of money for training. He won't have to worry about food and lodging and things. And much in the way I've said often that Van Gogh says, if you want to be an artist, you have to do art every day. And that's why he starved. And that's why he didn't care about business and all these other things. If you want to be a fighter, You got to practice fighting every day. You got to weight train. You got to do all these endurance tests and things if you want to be great, if you want to win. And that's what it's all about. It's a competition, and it's between you and the other fighter, but it's also between you and yourself. And sometimes this money gets in the way, and they can't achieve their full potential.
That was exactly what you're saying. Even to further enhance what you're saying is, as a young athlete, you were just focused on what you do best, and you just wanted to get to the gym, focus on your training and nothing else. You didn't know how to monetize what you were doing. You had no idea how to market yourself, how to raise more funds so you don't have to have a second job in order to train and the rest of it, to drive your dream and your vision to become one of the best athletes on the planet. So, you know, that was a huge problem, and I know across the board for many thousands, hundreds of thousands, even millions of athletes, that was always a problem. So something like this could actually revolutionize the way we can engage in things we love without having to make so many sacrifices. And yeah, great.
It is absolutely the things we love. I mean, we're talking about athletes here as an example, but it could very easily be computer programmers, history writers, whatever you think's important, musicians, things like this. We can fund them now with Bitcoin. We can fund them now, you know, in some ways with these ICOs and things, these colored coins and tokens, other representations. It's all just about skipping over the middleman, donating directly to what you support, and then helping them succeed, which I think everyone on earth has an interest in helping everyone else succeed. And we need to get on the same team and start going forward together.
Well, of course, money is a motivator, right? If you get money, then you will have more time and more effort to do the things that you like. But it is not the only motivator. So where do you see the different types of motivation, and how big of a role will money play?
Again, from a motive, if you're in love with what you do, I think motivation isn't really, you don't need to be motivated because you're so in love with it. And this is what we're discussing here. As long as someone's in love with it, they will probably be the best they could be because of that love for whatever it is that they engage in day to day. Money is a great motivator, but you also need support, and you need a strong support system from family, friends, and having your training partners and colleagues around you that have the same beliefs and ideals as yourself, and are driving towards one goal, which is, you know, being the best on the planet. For me personally, it was never about money, and it was never about glory. It was just, the focus was, I want to be one of the best on the planet, and I didn't retire until I'd proved that to myself that I had become that. So and then, like I said, I personally, I've always followed my heart, and thus that brought me to this ecosystem, and wanting to, now the vision is for our whole planet. Before, it was, as an athlete, it's almost like you're a little bit selfish because you're just driving towards one goal of being the best on the planet, and that's it. And as I evolved as a human being, now it's more about, you know, bringing more opportunity to everyone else on the planet, and helping people become the best they can be, in simple terms. Let's keep it simple, right?
All right. Well, thank you so much, Giorgio, for this. I think it's been an excellent discussion. And like I said yesterday, you know, we don't know about fighting, but you know about fighting. We can talk about it. We can maybe bring Bitcoin into it. We can bring these two worlds together. And it's not just about this one space or the one athletic space. It's about all the spaces. All these spaces could be enhanced by Bitcoin, no matter what your goal is, as long as it's a positive goal, doesn't hurt other people. People are going to donate. They're going to support you. They're going to see your passion, whether it's for fighting or music or art or history, whatever. They're going to find your passion, and you can find it in Bitcoin. Everyone can get a little bit of donations. You can work hard on it. Things like Tallycoin or these ICOs.
Plug it one more time, guys, because it's such a special site, and it really gives opportunity to people to try and enhance their whatever it is that they're in love with.
It's a great website. It's tallyco.in. My friend DJ Booth made it. I helped inspire it with an idea. We had an earlier version, and this is the new version, and it's just going great. You bring your own Bitcoin address from your own wallet. You set your goal. Maybe you need $200 to get a guitar, or $500 to get a punching bag, whatever it is. You set your goal. You tell people about it, and it gives you the thermometer. And I tell everybody, thermometers are the key to fundraising. All political campaigns use thermometers. kickstarters. Everyone does it. We say we're 10% towards our goal, we're 20% towards our goal, and then people feel like they're a part of it, and sometimes they donate multiple times just to get you to your goal. Sometimes it's the same people. Sometimes it's 300 people all giving you $10. Sometimes it's 2 or 3 that just buy the whole thing. But it's because of these kind of fundraiser ideas and this thermometer that we can work together. And I believe we can raise any amount of funds for anything. The lower the better, within reason.
It's a non-profit, right? It's a
Yep,
non-profit.
it's a non-profit. Tallycoin.
Clarify that.
Yeah. It doesn't take any cut of your money, unlike Kickstarter or Indiegogo. There's a donation address for Tallycoin, so if you want to help him run his servers and you want to give back to the person who gave to you, you can donate there at tallyco.in. But yeah, it's a totally free website. You bring your own Bitcoin wallet. There's no way he can even get into it if he'd wanted to. So check it out, and thanks so much, Giorgio.
Thank you.
I really enjoyed
Thanks
this.
for having me again, and it's great being with you. I look forward to seeing you soon, both.
It was a great talk. Bye-bye.
Bye.